Hi, this is Robert Clickybeard with the Commercial Landscaper Podcast. We're going to take about 30 minutes of your life to deliver some amazing content from accomplished leaders, business owners, to provide you some great Ironman mindsets to help you scale your business, to become a better leader and push yourself out of a comfort zone into something that's going to stretch you. We hope you really enjoy these shows and encourage you to like and share with your friends, your network, family members. Try and get a wider audience and improve our industry. On each show, I'm going to try and pull out one type of Ironman mindset, insight that you can take back to your business. And if you're implementing one insight every single week or all the shows, then it's going to make a dramatic improvement to your business. Super excited as well to share that we're partnering up with Boss Business Management Software, which is the ultimate cloud-based solution providing comprehensive insights and tools to optimize performance. Join the Boss community today and transform your business so you too can say, my boss is working for me. Cheers, everyone. Hi, this is Robert Clickybeard with the Commercial Landscaper Podcast. Really excited today to be joined by James Terry. James, welcome to the show today.
Thanks, Robert. Pleasure to be here.
So for the audience, tell everybody a little bit about who you are, a little bit about your company you've built, just so they have some reference.
Yeah, so Terry's Landscape is 14 years old. Probably have the same story as a lot of landscapers listening to the podcast. You know, started knocking on doors at 15, 16, and been mowing grass, involved in landscaping ever since. So I feel like I've had my 10,000 hours, really love and enjoy the industry. You know, I'm so happy it chose me and I chose it because it's just a happy place for people to work. And, you know, you get to be outside and it's just a great industry. So this is our 14th year with this business. I had a business in college. I went to Texas A&M University and got a degree in soil science with a turfgrass emphasis and minor in horticulture, but we definitely, fell forward. And I mean, every mistake that you can make, I've probably made it. I've, read every business book that you can imagine. I think if you have a growth mindset and you have a mindset to get better every day, you can figure it out. And the good thing about landscaping is there's opportunities all around you. You're not so niche that, a mistake can hurt as bad because there's another opportunity waiting.
I know some sort of influencers and people talk about habits of successful people. You talk about that growth mindset, go into every day with something that positivity. What are a couple of things that you maybe either you start your day with or maybe end of day, just sort of going into a new day and what you're going to achieve? 3 or 4 years ago, we started doing a lot of personality testing on the team, and it really taught me a lot about me. I've always been hyper competitive, right? I mean, I've always had this mindset that I will do whatever it takes to win. I just focus on winning every single day and how can we get better, and I see my competition and they're doing stuff we're not doing, and it really pisses me off and it makes me inspired to want to do better, right? So I have this mentality that we're going to win. And I'm going to do whatever it takes to win. We just got to keep fighting. I don't wake up at 5 and meditate or do a daily journal or grounded. I would say one of the things that I struggle with by nature is consistency. But I do want to win all the time, and I'm constantly thinking about how we can get better, how we can improve to win. Yeah, I'm super competitive between my rugby and Ironman stuff and everything. But, sometimes it's tough to get some of that to rub off on some of your team members. Mm-hmm. They just come from a different mindset or just different upbringing. How do you try and pass on some of that passion to some of your team members, especially as, you're growing the company? Yeah,
I mean, I can say earlier that, I think when you're growing a business, you go through some people sometimes and maybe it doesn't work out. And there's always a time that you look back and you're like, man, that was really my fault. And so I've definitely pushed some people out of it. But, I think some people gravitate to that too. And so when I speak or when I talk, I think it comes across as authentic and it's believable because they can see the passion, they can see the fire. And I think as an owner, you got to blaze a trail and say, we're going this way. Let's go. You can't be indecisive. When leadership speaks, it makes an impact, whether that's bad or good. You got to choose your words wisely and you got to motivate.
You're right. That leadership, you need to sort of inspire, you need to be able to inspire others to follow you. What's been some of the biggest game changers in your business? I mean, you said you've made a ton of mistakes, but obviously, I think you're doing some really nice revenue now. What were some of the big game changers you've made and that have stuck?
Yeah. So, I mean, like most businesses, we were undercapitalized for the first, probably 10, 11 years. And, COVID happened and we had a lot of work and we were able to get some capital. And I had read Traction, which is the EOS model. I'd probably read it 5 times and we tried to self-implement and I finally had some capital and there was a guy that I believed in. And so he worked for us for about 18 months, just running our meetings right, holding people accountable and really got me out of the way because passion and competitiveness is a double-edged sword here because you can will people to win, but you can also push people out and then you can give them misdirection on what's important. And, we're going this way. No, we're going this way. So we started that and we were stuck at a $5 million hurdle. We could not figure out how to get past 5 million. And I've learned that there's stages of business, right? I think to 2 million is a race, to 5 million is another race, 7 million. And so what I've learned is you get better people in the organization and it levels up everybody, right? It's a sense of professionalism. It's a sense of accountability. We adopted EOS. We immediately went to 7 million. The consultant left. We brought in a GM. That didn't work out. And then our current, what's called an integrator is really our right-hand man is this Jeff, who's he's so smart and so tactical and just so professional and polished. He's come in as our CFO. He started as a consultant last year and somehow I convinced him to work with us. And he's been full-time this year and we're rocking and rolling. I mean, the key to that is Jeff makes sure that the trains are on time, that the message is clear. And, me and Jeff have a relationship where I get to communicate ideas to him. But, my job is key client relationships. I love being outside and checking on our operations, making sure everything is fine. And the OS system of focusing on our 6 key components, establishing accountability, focusing on our core values really changed our life and changed my life and changed our business.
When you talk about your right-hand man, you said a CFO background, but now effectively running the operations, running everything, and you're just being in that visionary role. Is that correct?
Yeah. So everybody in the org chart, sales reports to Jeff. He handles finances. Operations reports to Jeff, and then Jeff reports to me. So Mondays, me and Jeff have like a 2-hour meeting that we'll go over everything that's going on. And, I still know everything that's going on in the business because during our leadership meeting, I'll hear, or, these guys that have been with me on my team have been with me for, 8 years. And so we're always talking, but Jeff's really holding them accountable, making sure that timelines and deadlines are met, that our 90-day objectives are met, and that, if we have a gross profit standard, we're hitting that gross profit standard. He's really in the weeds on accountability, and I'm more of a big picture guy.
What has been the changes in your business? Have you seen revenue going up, seen profitability going up? When
I hired Jeff, we were rolling on EOS, and I felt good about it. And what was unique about Jeff is he was originally an investment banker on Wall Street, and then he left that career at 40 and went into a business with his college roommate, and they did residential remodeling. Now, I've done a ton of residential landscape. We don't do residential landscape anymore, but I can imagine the stress of fixing someone's bathroom compared to fixing someone's patio. And so Jeff had done that for 10 years, and I knew that he had a really good sense of customer relationships, how to communicate, how the process works on construction, because I really think it's all the same on good communication, setting expectations, yada, yada, yada. So when I met Jeff, it was he wanted to run EOS in his business and his partner didn't, and they broke up, and he started this consulting gig. And I had another book that I really liked called The Great Game of Business, which is this idea that if you can create clarity and share everything with everybody, that people will make the right decisions when they understand what's going on. right? And I really think that's my ethos, is that if we give people clarity and we have the right people that agree on our core values, they're going to make the right decision to help the business. It's our job to give them clarity and gain trust. So I told Jeff, I said, hey, read this book and tell me if you think that you could help us pull this off. Because again, I tried to self-implement this thing and it was a complete failure, right? And so Jeff read the book and he said, I think we could pull this off. And so last year we started running open book management. And it was a game changer. What's unique about our organization is we don't pay any sales or commissions. We don't pay any retention rates. Everyone's on the same profit sharing plan, which is 20% of your salary based on EBITDA and liquidity. The second Wednesday of every month, we show everybody what was on the P&L. The managers own different sections of the P&L. They have their budget they can spend, and they report to us what they spent. And then we show them liquidity. We show them how much money's in the checking account, what's our AR, what's our line of credit. And it's a scale that goes up throughout the year. And so we're training our people how a business works. And I feel like we're attracting better talent to come work with us because they like the openness and the fairness. And then our people understand business. So they're making decisions like they're an owner because they are an owner. It's their money.
You mentioned a couple of great books here. The Traction book, amazing book, The Great Game of Business with Jack Stack. Again, tremendous business. One of the things, I was actually at a meeting last week and talked about the rhythms, the accountability piece, the KPIs, but I think they're moving towards more of that open book type management. But they realized quickly early on that not many of the leadership have been involved in financials before. They don't understand them. Mm-hmm. So here we are, sort of going towards the end of the year, trying to understand financials, trying to think about budgets. What was some of that learning curve? Or how did you overcome some of that? Some of those limitations, maybe not being exposed to that in the past?
Other than leadership, so I got 20 managers in a room. And I'd always tell Jeff, we have to tell people something 7 times until they understand it. What's GPM? What's margin? Now we've moved on to how do you define our current ratio? It's a slow rhythm. It's not fast. You're going to have to repeat yourself as a leader over and over again. But I think the people appreciate it. And I tell people all the time, I'm like, if in 4 years you do not work here, you will be a better person in the workforce because you understand this stuff. And if you work at another small business and you can speak this language of financials, they're going to look at you like, man, this guy or gal has it going on. So it's a win-win for everybody. It's a very good symbiotic relationship.
Now, did you find most people embrace that? Might take some more time with others, but I assume there's maybe been a couple of casualties. People maybe didn't quite grasp it. It was too much for them. How did you deal with that type of scenario?
So when we have our open book management meeting, we have a scorecard for them. And so they figure out the scorecard as it's going along. I asked Jeff, I said, I think when we first started this, I would say half the crowd believed we're actually telling them the truth, right? Because I think people think, what's in it for me? And then how much more work is it going to take for me to do this? And if those two aren't balanced, it's hard to get buy-in. I think we have, I would say, over 95% buy-in now. Still we're reiterating the same things. The scorecard's still the same way. And then on the scorecard too, we give them a box where they can fill in ideas or things that they see that we can improve to improve margin, right? To improve EBITDA. And so we take their feedback and then, we implement things that we've seen that are good ideas. We've had some really great ideas. Even as simple as we need another gas tank because the guys are waiting too long to get gas. If you don't give people the outlet to say that and they feel comfortable, they'll never tell you, even though they see the problem all the time, right? So the power is in the people. You just have to give the people the outlet to be able to tell you. And so our next thing, and we implemented this in August, so this is early, but it's going in the right way, is getting this down to our foreman. That's the next level we're getting to. They have 2 scoreboards. They have like a habit scoreboard, which is safety, quality. Did they clock in correctly in the morning, right? Because that can be a big headache on the back staff. And they're basically on a red, yellow, green system. You get too many yellows, it turns into a red card, kind of like football. You're disqualified from the bonus plan. And then their metric they track is revenue per hour, which beginning of October, production turns in all their hours to Jeff. Jeff comes up with this formula. Here's your revenue per hour standard benchmark you need to hit. If you're over this by this much, this is what you can earn. And a foreman can earn up to $1,000 a month bonus. So September, they earned $200. which is a win. You got to start out with little wins. That's what I've learned too. Little wins turn into big wins. I don't know how the numbers are going to fall for September, but they should be pretty good because everything looks pretty good on our side. But again, my mindset is if I can pay a foreman an extra $8,000 a year in bonuses, I'm not going to lose any foremen, and I'll probably attract the best foreman in the industry. But again, that's from clarity, right? That's from letting them understand, because the power's in the people. Foremen know a faster way to do the job, but you got to incentivize them to do it a faster way.
Yeah, if you've got the right people in place, if you've got somebody who's willing to embrace that. Yeah, I mean, there was so many nuggets you shared there. One of the things you reminded me of, I had listened to Alan Mulally. He was the Ford CEO back in, I think, 2006 to 2014. And when he first came into Ford, a couple of things he noticed that was, first of all, no Fords in the executives parking lot. So that was an issue. And then, he would go to some of the leadership meetings, and everybody had their KPIs, everybody had their reports. But even though the company was going bankrupt at that time, I think it must have been 2006, 2007, everybody was still saying everything was great. All these leaders were coming in from all around the world, and everything was saying, oh, there's no issues. But it's because they didn't have an outlet. They didn't have a safe outlet to be able to share. I think finally somebody broke the mold and they started to share some of the issues. I think in the past, the Ford family had really jumped down on people with anything negative. But because Alan now created the safe environment, people start to share some of the challenges they were seeing in production, whatever. So it's a huge game changer for the company. So it sounds like you've done that same thing where you've created that great environment, you've created some accountability, you've given people the freedom to, to almost treat it like their own business and step up and prove themselves. So nice job with that.
I appreciate it. And one thing I've learned too is when you create this level of accountability, I mean, to me, I played soccer from 5 years old to 20 years old. I even played into my 30s on men's league teams. But when you play a sport, I see this as a game, just like the great game of business, and we're all trying to win. So I have to define what a goal looks like. Then I got to define, here's how we're keeping score. Are we winning or losing? That's a two-sided coin, because some people will say, I don't want to keep score and I don't want to know if we're winning or losing. And they'll become uncomfortable with the accountability and they'll leave, which is a win-win, because I want people on my team that want to win, right? Mm-hmm. And so if you've been competitive or been on a great team, there's always a level of accountability. There's always a captain, and everybody's rowing the same direction to win. It all starts with leadership. And, the biggest thing EOS did for me is it was kind of like when I changed, everything changed. Right. And so I think as leaders, you got to be able to look in the mirror too and say, good or bad, I'm responsible for it. If it's bad, I can't say it's because Doug's not doing good or Robert's not good at his job. No, it's my fault. I'm the leader. That's the way that you keep pushing forward for continuous improvement in my eyes.
Yeah, it's easy to put blame on others, but being a great leader, you have to be humble. You have to learn. You have to, to realize that you don't know everything, and to be able to embrace, either books or other thought leaders and listen and learn from those, and then be able to share that with your team, I think is huge. One of the things you mentioned, soccer, being a big fan of, if you bring somebody in with some type of a sports background into your company, then they know that competition, they know the game. It's nothing worse than going to a sports game and maybe the scoreboard is down. So how can you tell if you're winning or losing or how to adjust? We were fans of having almost like scoreboards in each of our branches, so people could see when they're winning, when the numbers were red, were green, and you can make those adjustments. You had time to be, rather than looking at the financials on the 10th or 15th of the month past. Too late to make changes then.
Yep.
Let's look at the scoreboard during the month, every single day or every single week.
Yeah, red, yellow, green, and but if the game's over and then you realize you lost, what's the point? You're already halfway into another game because a month's already rolling over. Our biggest challenge next is scalability. We think we'll have a new branch in the next 4 to 6 months. We have the people placed out, but for me, I always tell my team, it's like, hey, if I go get a number one from Chick-fil-A over here, or if I drive 200 miles and get a number one, it still tastes the same. It's the same customer service. Everything's the same. I want to roll out these new branches with it's just all feels the same. If you walk into one branch or the other branch, because I've seen organizations where every branch has their own identity, and I don't want to have that happen. I'd rather stay in one branch if that's the case. So that's kind of my next hurdle is how do I play multiple games, but they all look and feel the same.
Yeah, we had different branches, and I think the one that was the most challenging was our one up in Vegas. So it's a good 4 or 5 hour drive away. And yes, they still had the same culture, but they had their own slight twist in it. And it was, you almost had to make an extra effort to make sure they were engaged, they were involved, they didn't go off on a tangent. Definitely that branch model is definitely challenging. Going back to your, when you brought in your number two, what were some of the attributes of that person that sort of makes them so successful? And because I think it sounds like you went through at least 1 or 2 changes to find that right person.
Yeah, I mean, Jeff was calm. I'm kind of crazy. He's calculated. I'm kind of all over the place. I felt he was very strong, like a strong leader, strong accountability. And so it was really a natural yin and yang. I mean, it's like Jeff is built to be what he is, and he lives his best life. He loves what he does. I live my best life. I love what I do, and it just fit. I remember a guy who's been with me for a while, who's always very skeptical about people. I always tell him he's like a cat. Like he's very hides in the corner when someone's new, but eventually he's like laying on their lap and purring on them, right? After Jeff had been consulting for us about 90 days, I was like, what do you think? And he goes, man, he's exactly what we need. And I was like, okay, this is good. I feel really good about this. And so, I stay out of Jeff's way. He stays out of my way, but we're going in the same direction. And, it's like the longer we work together too, I don't know exactly how he's thinking, but I can kind of just feel what he's thinking. And I think he kind of can feel the same way for me. So I think all great businesses have always had a combo. You might only hear about one guy, but there's always somebody else. And that's how Traction starts off, kind of telling you about all these great duos in the history of business, And then Jeff too, I mean, I'm 39. Everyone on my leadership team was my age or younger than me. So he brought some gray hair into the room, some wisdom. Jeff's 52, I think. And so we needed that as well. We needed some maturity. So it just worked out.
As we wrap things up here, what does the future look like for you? And, you've mentioned, you'd like to learn, great books, great thought leaders. What's your, how do you keep that sharp saw on your side, being that visionary? Because one of the visionary roles is to research, to inspire, to innovate, and then bring back some of those ideas to your implementers so that they can either embrace them or throw them out.
Yeah, so I think I can tell you just candidly, one of the challenges that I feel like we're having is we're growing so much, everything's well, and we're not as good as things as we think we are. And so one of our core values is differentiation. We got to figure out how to differentiate on the client management side. EOS really works in quarters. So this last quarter, I'm going to run the client management meeting. I'm super excited about it. We're going to read that as a team, and we got to come up with some ideas to stand out because, we all use the same mowers. We all have the same workforce. I really believe that people really remember how you made them feel. Our client managers, we call them OAMs, outdoor asset managers. They've got to make people feel special and treated right? And that's how we can stand out and differentiate. And then the next thing is scale. How do we scale? Our vision is to be the largest privately owned company in Texas. So how do we scale that? Houston's just such a huge market. I mean, it's the 4th largest city in the nation. I think if we had 3 branches rolling here, we could do a lot. I think Dallas is next on the list, and Austin. And so I think we have a fun 10 years ahead of us. It's just keeping our eye on the ball and innovating and coming up with new ideas and a better way to do it, and we should be okay.
James, it's been an absolute pleasure talking with you today. How can people get in touch with you? Just find out a little bit more about you, your company, some of the techniques you've used.
Yeah, so if anybody wants to reach out, love to chat with you. LinkedIn, you can find me on LinkedIn. You can also email me. It's real simple, just james@terryslandscape.com. I'd love to have a chat. I've probably got 4 or 5 guys that I talk to every week about business. And so, I think iron sharpens iron. So anytime anybody has any questions about open book management in the landscape industry, we'd be willing to help. We've had a couple of guys come in here and see what we have, what we did with it. And, we'd be willing to share. So
awesome. James, thanks again. Really enjoyed the nuggets you shared. Some great information there. So hopefully everybody's listened to the show. So thanks again, James, and have a great week.
All right. Thanks, Robert.
Hopefully that was pure dead brilliant for you today, and you got some great Ironman mindset takeaways for your business or your leadership role. This is Robert Clickybeard. Love to get you, your friends, your employees to join us in our future journey. So please subscribe to your various podcast channels. Visit our website, commerciallandscaper.com or wilson-360.com. You could check out our digital courses. You could check out peer groups, coaching, my book, Ironman Mindset for Entrepreneurs. And we just want you to have a pure, dead, brilliant day. And finally, thanks again to Boss Business Management Software, which is the ultimate cloud-based solution providing comprehensive insights and tools to optimize performance. Join the Boss community today and transform your business so you too can say, my boss is working for me. Cheers, everyone.